I'm Andrew Shapiro, and this is how you sell without selling out. Rogers that.
Hi, I'm Rogers Healy, and welcome to Rogers That, a podcast dedicated to selling without selling out and without being a sellout. Like people that wear sunglasses inside, even though, of course, this one is stuck on the price tag. I'm going to pretend like it fits. Are they sellouts? Who knows? But we're going to learn this morning. We have my buddy Andrew Shapiro all the way from the longest island of Long Island. He flew in this morning on an early morning flight, but he's had his goat fuel. He also has his twin brother here, which caught us off guard. Why don't we see adult twins in public? That is an entire podcast on its own. Did you also know there is a twin fest in Minnesota? I didn't know about that. Here they go. Now they're going to go on. Andrew Shapiro is a visionary. He sees things differently than we do, literally, because he always has on sunglasses. Andrew is the co-founder and the CEO of Tomahawk Shades, a company that was born out of a vision while playing video games, like a lot of great companies that were created. Andrew has a focus on high quality, affordable sunglasses and making sure that everyone can afford the lifestyle that is currently known as Tomahawk Shades. More to come on that in a second. He's bringing style and durability. He is bringing style and durability to the consumer without breaking the bank. That's the Long Island in him, you know. We appreciate that. Most importantly, Andrew is married, and most importantly, he's about to be a dad, but not just any dad, a girl dad, which means we're going to keep this PG, much like a Disney movie. So Andrew, thanks for being here today. How was my intro? The fifth one I did.
I thought it was perfect.
Thank you.
All of them mixed together make a nice, perfect intro, but the last one nailed it.
Really? God, you're such a great girl dad. Such words of encouragement. That's your gift.
I'm learning from you already.
Yeah. Wow. Your brother even, he agrees too. People are crying in here. So Andrew, who are you? Like, what are you wearing? What kind of glasses are those today?
Yeah, so these are a concept that we're working on for our prescription line. So that's a lot to come. So that's something that we've kind of been like hiding a little bit. We've had it here or there, been working on some new labs, new lenses.
This probably won't come out for like 3 years. And so by the time it comes out.
It could come out quicker. It could come out quicker.
So by the time this comes out, is there a chance Tomahawk maybe is not even named Tomahawk? Maybe it has a different line of prescription glasses?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential for things to change in a short period of time. So we're just kind of taking this new adventure we're going on.
Wow.
Potentially, seeing where things lead.
Yeah, we'll see. So who is Andrew Shapiro? Born January 26th?
25th.
Oh, man. And your brother was born January 25th, but 1 minute behind you. So your little brother.
Exactly.
Your younger brother.
Respect your elders. That's the rule here.
Yeah. Do you have gray hair in your beard?
I do.
Yeah. Does your brother?
I don't know.
Yeah. No, it comes with age and wisdom. Maybe by the time he watches this podcast, he'll be fully gray.
Well, we'll see. I could look at him as like a mirror, but I decide not to. So
yes,
that's my choice, of course.
I love it. So get us inside your head. What became of the world of Andrew, where you became a founder and a visionary, and now you have a massive company that's about to become even more massive?
Yeah, I mean, I think all my life I knew that I didn't want to work for somebody. I think that that's always the key part that I like to start with and like let people know that that's how I've always felt. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't know where I wanted to go in it. Everyone always said, go to the city, go to Wall Street. It's just the typical thing you hear when you live on Long Island. It's just, that's where you're going to go. It wasn't me. I just don't think that was me.
How big of an influence was Pete Davidson to you as a kid?
Not really that big.
Okay, good.
No.
Okay.
Like the guy.
Yeah, no. He's
funny guy.
Great guy.
But no influence really.
Okay, yeah.
If we get him some glasses.
But he's Long Island's like, he's the crown prince.
Oh, pride and joy by a lot of people.
Did you see that movie he was in with How depressing was that?
Very.
Let's go visit Long Island. Said no one after watching that movie.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So,
but not until Tomahawk. Wait until Tomahawk. We're going to pull into Long Island. It's going to say home of Tomahawk.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
And then it's just going to be you greeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a big Andrew Shapiro.
Waving
like no, we don't need used car lots. We got Andrew. Okay. But tell us. So what made you?
Yeah. So since I've always wanted to kind of do my own thing, I never really knew what it was going to be. And I think that I kind of credit in a way to
just take a picture of my ankles. I was like, man, you're some kind of, okay.
No
ankle
brother. Photos.
Super single.
Yeah. He's kind of like my right-hand man with all this stuff. Obviously, he's been there from the beginning. And when I had to make a senior project, I ended up going home and he ended up buying a pair of glasses for $200. And I said, there's no way that it costs $200. I have to do a senior project. Let's just try it. No love for glasses. Didn't even have any intentions of being in that world. But when I found out what it would be like and how to develop them, all of a sudden it was like, hey, let's do it. Then he helped come up with the name, as we spoke about playing video games, just throwing a Tomahawk in Black Ops 2. Yeah. So It just happened to be there.
Did you win?
Did he win? Probably. It's pretty good. Yeah. So it ended up being something where we were in the first place. This is when we weren't really business minded. We were like, oh, Strong Island Shades, because we lived on Long Island.
Oh, is that like the nickname for Long Island?
That's a whole thing that people
Strong
say
Island?
a lot. So we're sitting there going, Strong Island Shades, let's do it. Something clicked in the beginning. We're like, well, that just limits us here. We can't do that. And that was like our first smart move that we did. We're like, we can't do this.
This was a long time ago too. This was really, I mean, obviously startups have always been a thing, but I feel like we're in the era of the entrepreneur. And in Dallas too. I think Dallas is city. It's the melting pot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But you know, while you're in college, you know, everyone has an idea.
Mhm.
Rarely do you actually, you know, take it and run with it. So you create Tomahawk as a school project.
Yes.
And then when did you and your brother know that it was actually something worth putting more time into?
Yeah, I think I graduated in 2013. And when I graduated, it was, hey, I got a job offer to go to Citibank and be on their trading floor. And it was something that I thought I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? Like, maybe we should give this thing a really good try. So I actually took a job at Dick's Sporting Goods overnight, being like their assistant buyer. And I was there overnight, helping get everything in, do whatever it was.
Were you and your brother working together?
No, he was at Best Buy or something. So we were
doing
just
like same kind of stuff.
Yeah, we were just sacrificing to see if it could work. And I think one day we sold like 15, 20 pairs of glasses in one day. And we're just like, all right, this is cool. And then Schlitterbahn Water Park put in a massive order.
In Texas?
Yeah. They put in an order for like 10,000 pieces. And we're like, whoa, this is cool. Took over the back of our parents' house. And she looked at us and said, get out. Get it out now. So we found an office and we're like, hey, let's just quit our jobs. Let's give it a shot for 2-3 years. And here we are all these years later.
How did Schlitterbahn find y'all? Fun fact, I grew up with the daughter of Tasha Henry in San Antonio. I went to school with her at St. Mary's Hall, which, hello, Tasha.
Yeah.
How did they find you?
Social media.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
And so did you guys have 10,000 units to sell?
No, so we produce it all from scratch. That was our first time being like, how do we get it in? What if it comes on a pallet to our parents' house? What are we supposed to do with that? Where are we putting all these? Do we inspect them or do we just send them off? We were like, we don't know what to do here.
But
and
you said yes.
We said yes. And we said, even though we weren't sure if we were hit the deadline, hit what we needed, how to work with customs, get it in here, we basically looked at each other and said, let's tell them we could do it. Let's give them a great price. Let's get money into the business. And we just never looked back since.
Wow. So this was over a decade ago.
Yeah.
So walk us through the journey of an entrepreneur in the eyewear space.
Yes, I would say.
Is it a crowded space?
It's definitely a crowded space. I think you definitely need to do something to make yourself stand out. And I think that we've done that over the past few years just to make sure that people realize what we offer different than other people. Because it's the same thing everyone else is going to say. We want to sell them cheap. We want to make high quality. But do you actually do that? And I think that's something where we've been able to provide a large range. The thing we have to watch is trends. Trends are the key thing that we have to pay attention to. If you don't pay attention to it, you're going to fall behind because all of a sudden it could be oversized. Then you're producing oversized for 6 months later, and then that dies off and everyone wants small. Or all of a sudden Kylie Jenner could wear something like this and they're not even protecting your eyes, but that's what they want.
Isn't that crazy how reactive it is? But people don't realize the buying cycles for what y'all are needing to do. Like how far in advance do you need to go buy? It's right now it's October of 2024. So spring of 2025, when do you have to have those decisions made?
Yeah, I mean, we like to be at a minimum 90 days ahead of time, just to at least know what we want to produce. Certain items we could produce in a 90-day period, certain ones we could do in 65, certain ones we produce extra at the manufacturer and then have it come whenever it's needed, right? And that allows us to keep an eye on stock, but also allows us to keep an eye on the quality, which I think has been something that a lot of brands don't do. And that's something that we pride ourselves on for sure.
Wow. So you and your brother go into business together. What was that like? Obviously, you guys are best friends. You probably share everything together. You were mentioning earlier, you guys are very different personalities and you're the worky type. He's the creative fun type. And what was that like bringing a yin and yang into an actual business?
Yeah, I think it was probably the hardest thing of this business. I could honestly say, if it wasn't for the way I am and the way he is, it probably wouldn't work. I think that, like you said, the yin and yang definitely helps. But at the same time, he handles the things that I don't want to handle. I handle the things he doesn't want to handle. He knows what he's good at. I know what I'm good at. But we have gone at each other. I mean, we've literally been in each other's faces, but 5 minutes later,
he's over there.
Yeah.
He's agreeing. He's shaking his head.
It's true. But then it goes from, I'm mad at you for this, or we shouldn't have done that, to, do you want Chipotle or do you want Moe's 5 minutes later? And I think that that's where it really makes a difference, where you know when to break it, you know when to say no, and you just move over to the next thing.
Here's a unique entrepreneur question. Do you guys have your roles written down? Or is it something where you know each other so well as being identical twins that you just kind of know who's going to do what?
I think it's like a mix. We have them written down, but there are times where like I'll look at him and say, I need this off my plate, and he'll automatically take it off my plate. Or it's something where something new comes around and then he'll just do it. Or same thing going back to me. I'll just be like, I'm going to take on this, but if you ever want to take on this, you can. So I think that we've worked that out, but now it's easier than it's not. I would say it was really difficult in the beginning. The first like 3 to 5 years, it was just, and it was also stressful too, right? If money's not flocking in, that gets really strained too. Look at your age. Do you think you're getting to a point that you need to move on and not do it anymore? Right. We've gone through the ramen noodles on the couch. We rented an apartment that we just had no room in whatsoever. And we just stayed there and said, sleep on the couch, go to the gas station every night. And we were on that same page. I think that that's what helped the most. We were on the same page with what we need to sacrifice.
Describe your favorite part about working with your brother.
I think I enjoy the fact that we are working and then you could go and actually enjoy something at the same time and go right back to working. So I think that it's just the flow of the day is probably my favorite part. We know what to do at the beginning, do at the end, do in the middle. It all kind of flows nicely.
What were y'all like as kids? Like, was one of y'all, were y'all very different personalities as children too?
Oh yeah. Bad in school. Sorry. My mistake. I had to say it. But he admits it, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't that good in school, didn't really like to pay attention. We played opposite sports. Like he played lacrosse, I played baseball, I played soccer. He wanted to play football. It was like, I don't really want to get involved in that. It's just
so he was the social butterfly, you were the student.
Yeah. We had the same friends, so that always helped too. I think we've grown up with the same friends. We still have some of those same friends. My wife's one of those friends. What did we meet her in 4th grade? So they were best friends growing up.
Have y'all been together since 4th grade?
No. I don't even, sorry. I know she's going to listen to this. I don't even remember what year we started dating at this point. It's been a while.
But you're happily married. You have a kid coming, so who cares?
Yes, exactly. None of that matters now. I know the dates are just, sometimes the years get a little,
But I think what you're doing is you're proving you can, I think as a business owner myself, everyone has different advice. And one of the first pieces of advice I got was don't ever work with your friends or your family, and I don't have a twin, but I don't know if I've pulled it off or if I haven't, but my very first realtor to work for my real estate company was my college roommate, who still is one of my best friends. And I remember we put a friendship clause into the agreement that just put it in writing, I think really helped.
Yeah.
And obviously I was his boss, which was never really awkward, but putting that in there, I think it just secured the friendship.
Yeah.
And then the handful of other people along the way that came to work for me, I didn't do that. And unfortunately, we probably are never going to get coffee or lunch again, but good for you for doing that. So it's the evolution of a consumer product that is trend heavy. You have social media either working for you or against you. You've got a masculine name, but a lot of your sales are to women. So what about that? Again, you're in year 12 right now.
Yeah.
This is year 12 of the company being established. And how have you done that without being reactive?
Yeah, I think when we're watching the trends and watching what people are wearing, we kind of go to the manufacturers and work with them to say like, oh, hey, are these things that you've seen people produce? Are there molds available that we could sample, right? And then we kind of test them ourselves. We have a couple of people in our lives that we send them the glasses or even show them, one of them being like our sister. We show her the glasses and she says, right away, we know we're not producing.
She's your taste tester.
Because she's brutally honest, right? And she knows that she is too.
Is that the Long Island in her? Is that the Strong Island in her?
I think that might be. I mean, she's definitely got that, nastiness to her that can
New
come
York,
out.
But now people call that New York people, they're just honest.
Yes, I think that I didn't appreciate the honesty in the first place.
Dude, it's the most efficient place on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Like whether I was dating or I was working, it's like, no, it's like no's or no's there. I'm like, all right, respect, on to the next.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the good thing about what we've done with social media is we've been able to work with women and men to be able to cater to women and men. So we've worked with women who only get men purchasers. So we see what they could push to them. And then like obviously the other side, which is men who get women purchasers. But we have to follow those trends all the time to see what's working, what's not.
Is that humbling to know? Like for me, I'm 40, almost 45 years old. And a lot of the products that we're involved in, I'm not the target demographic. Right. And that at first it's kind of hard. I'm like, damn, getting older. Not that I was ever cool, but I'm not even in the cool demographic. Is that something that becomes just more of a job than a passion project? Yeah,
I think I enjoy it now because it lets me enter the different spaces that we want to be in. So we've the cool thing about eyewear is we've been able to enter so many different spaces. So if it's golf, we get to find out what the golfers love. If it's skateboarding, we get to find out what the skateboarders love. If it's people who travel into the city, we get to find out what they love and then find a soft middle ground for everything. So I used to hate it because I'm like, I don't know what to produce. I would look at him at night and be like, you have to talk to the manufacturer and even ask them, what do they think is trending? Right? Because China's like 6 months ahead of us in trends sometimes. You might not be producing in China, but China fashion's ahead. Right? So you might have to look at that. Sometimes you see something, you're like, we're not doing that.
You ever get to the airport like 3 hours early just to look at people? Well, I guess the airport's not where would you go to like source sunglass trends?
Yeah, I mean, obviously
Central
social
Park?
media does make it easier, but if you want to go in person, yeah, go into the city, walk around for 20 minutes. You'll see the bad, and then you'll see something, you'll be like, wow, that colorway is really cool. That looks really fancy.
Have you seen any monocles? Anybody with just hello, and they come up to you and they have like
it's a funny,
trust me, it's happening.
It's funny because like 2-3 years ago, there were a couple of brands that were doing like the foldable glasses.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was
very Andy Warhol
piece. Exactly. And we thought about it for a little bit. We're like, do we do it? Because it's actually kind of cheap to produce something like that. You're not producing a full frame glass. You're only producing something right here. And I think that was one of the arguments we got into where we're just like, we should do it. It's going to sell. And I was like, I didn't know what I was saying at the moment. He was the one who kind of like brought me off that ledge where he's like, we're not doing it. It doesn't match the brand. It does not make any sense. We definitely shouldn't. And then we didn't. I'm glad we didn't. I don't know what it would have turned into. But those trends are seen.
Yeah, it's crazy. But again, you just know that they're going to come and go, right?
Yes, there's certain ones that stick. You always have the classic look that everybody has. That's number one. An aviator, something that's a little bit more wraparound. But everyone's different. We've had this discussion with each other, right? How do you satisfy the shape of every single person? You could be a brand that offers small, medium, large eyewear, but how do you know how many to buy of each one, right? And then if you're holding on to the product because you bought too many small and then that trend dies, now you're holding on to all this stuff. So we try to do one size, but various looks.
Golly.
That's helped us kind of figure it out, which is why there could be a lot of SKUs at times.
How many different SKUs do y'all have right now?
I think right now we're at like 23 SKUs, and then each one has variations within. So colorway or maybe a little different like hitch somewhere. But we are definitely working on dumbing that down because I think it is easier.
Yeah.
But then you make them disappear. People start asking where they went, where could they get them? And then you're like, oh, do you bring them back? It's
trends.
They
cycle
trends.
back.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about inventory management?
I think the way that we've done stuff now is what happens when somebody wants a black frame of any of our colors, wants a green lens, a purple lens, a silver lens, a gold lens. Do you buy them individually with all the lenses? Do you buy the lenses individually and then snap them in yourself? Right? There's a lot of different options when it comes to that type of inventory issue, which I think you could be like, oh, do I buy more to pay a little bit less? Or do I get more of certain items? Or do I get rid of some so I can buy more of others? Those issues that come up, it's definitely very difficult to determine how to deal with the inventory because it changes. It does change drastically. And most of the manufacturers we deal with are awake when we're asleep.
China.
Well, we don't deal with mainland China, which is what we made sure that we want to source. We don't want Chinese acetate because there is a difference between acetate you get from Italy. There's definitely a big difference there. He's the sourcing guy. He does all that stuff. He handles them, deals with it.
So you're working vampire hours? You're working like in the middle?
Yeah. So it makes it hard because if you don't get it done at night, then the next day you could talk about it, but you can't tell them or interact with them again until the next day. So you have to get out as much as you need, which I think has made everything work really well because we know when we need to deal with it. We could deal with it during the day in terms of what we need to do. But at night, when he's up dealing with them, there's language barriers, stuff like that to deal with. But, you're also sourcing multiple materials into one location, combining it together, assembling it together, pressing it together, and then shipping it out.
How do y'all deal with quality control if they're halfway around the world?
So that is probably the hardest part. I think that when you gain trust in your manufacturers, then you'll know which ones to work with. We've worked with various manufacturers over the years. We've stuck with, I think, 3 of them we've had since we've started, basically. But there's some we work with where I mentioned it to you before about the lenses on one of the blue light. It was too thin. They couldn't replicate what another one did. So we instantly said, hey, we're going to get some samples in. Samples are always key. Get the sample in first, then make sure you can produce it. And to be honest, I mean, you have to inspect every single pair. I think that's what a big company doesn't have. When we're shipping goods out, the person who's touching them needs to make sure you're not just grabbing out of a box and putting it into another box and shipping it out. You have to open the pair of glasses, look at the lens, look at the arms, look at the hinge, look for defects, and then ship it out.
Is this y'all doing it?
This is us doing it. We've dealt with 3PLs. We've dealt with shipping partners before. They don't care. That's the problem. You always end up looking where someone got a package, something's messed up. Someone got this and it was the wrong color. It was the wrong this. And that could happen.
Yeah.
But if we could control that, why wouldn't we want to control it? Since we're passionate about what we give out, we check everything that goes out. So,
well, what's been the biggest challenge so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you really talk about challenges that we have, I think we've never really taken on this massive cash flow from anybody. We've never taken out massive loans from bank. We've done everything on our own. I think that scaling doesn't always have to do with that. But I do think there's certain things that we see pass us by that we're not able to take on due to that. It's not a bad thing because we take on a lot of cool stuff. We do a lot of cool things with people. Opportunities are there. They're always being introduced to us. But you have to just be a little bit more cautious than somebody else. But you also have to go into that space where on a different side, your eyewear, you might want to have like a wholesale OEM white label market, but then everybody sees that you're a brand, so they instantly want you to pay for everything. They don't want to produce with you sometimes. So you have to break that apart too. Your wholesale looks different than your regular direct to consumer.
Do you feel like a large part of being a founder and an entrepreneur is just this revolving door? And it's like sometimes you look up and you're like, holy crap, it's been a year, it's been 5 years, it's been a decade, and you've kind of been doing the same thing. And you need this, you have this longing to go and, have a different side of your brain operate. You feel like that's applicable to what you guys have been doing?
Yeah, I think we talk about that almost on like a weekly basis where like you try your best to make sure that it doesn't feel like you are doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
I think that we've done a really good job not making it feel that way. The opportunities that come up for us is Instagram, like we were talking about earlier, right? Somebody reaches out about an event or an influencer or
which
a
is like code for they want free stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But some of them actually want to prove themselves and say, I can make a custom pair, a signature line. I could get this in front of this person. So there's always the revolving door is actually kind of nice because there's so much out there to do, but it's also about picking and choosing, right? Everyone tells you they can give you the world.
Yeah.
We all know. A lot of people can't. You know, and it's just the reality of it. So the revolving door is very large for us. I think we talk to way too many people on a daily basis, and we've learned to say no.
Yeah.
We've learned to say no. The hardest thing about the first couple of years were saying yes to everybody.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah. Well,
but then we had to say no.
That's part of that's part of the education, I think, of being a founder is you learn the language, and it's like the innocence is lost as soon as you start to have those light bulb moments. You're like, oh, right. And then you kind of could smell somebody from a mile away and see what they want. And then every once in a while, there's somebody that enters your life. You're like, oh, wow, that's a feel good. That keeps you going. Advice. What's the best advice you and your brother could go back 12 years ago, 13 years ago and say, listen to me, and you shake them. What's the advice you give yourself?
I think that we probably would be on the same page. It's our dad bought the first pair of glasses from us for $20.
Oh.
And when he bought it from us, we actually framed it. It's still in our office, right?
Oh.
And the thing that he said to us, and he still says it to this day, is value the dollar, right? You didn't grow up with money, so don't act like you have money. Always act like you don't have it. It doesn't matter, right? And like he's struggled his entire life, right? It's the Long Island thing. He lived in Brooklyn. He gave us a backyard on Long Island. So we talk about it all the time, like thankful for the dollar. That advice has always allowed us, I think, to stay where we are. We don't overspend. We don't overspend. We understand where the dollar amount's supposed to be. We don't give it away if we don't need to. We don't throw it away if we don't need to. And I think that little bit of advice, those little words that he said, just you have to value that dollar no matter what, stuck with us since that day.
So you're about to be a dad. And let's say it's 2.5 years from now, your daughter is going to start asking you questions, right? And then she gets to the point where she actually wants to know what it's like to have a successful business. What are you going to tell her?
Grit. It's just don't give up. Keep doing it. No idea is a bad idea. If you believe in it, you could do it. And I think that I preach that to a lot of friends and family now. A lot of people come to us and say, oh, I got this idea. And I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. I think that's.
But what if it's a dumb idea? Do you still tell them to do it?
Unfortunately, sometimes, yes. Sometimes I will be brutally honest with
I
people.
want to reinvent the zipper. Don't do it.
Yes. Yeah. I think that we have seen people where we have been honest with, but some are not bad ideas, right? If you say, oh, I want to open a hotel.
Who they need to meet is your sister. Your sister is going to say, you're an idiot. Don't do it.
Most of the time she's around when that happens. We talk about it all the time and she'll be like, that's dumb. Don't do it. And I'll be like, hey, I didn't have to say it. She said it.
Perfect. Yeah. That's good. What's your sister's name?
Caitlin.
Yeah. Caitlin?
But
Caitlin. Don't mess with Caitlin.
We call her Soph. Basically, what happened was she worked at a Texas Roadhouse And
Ooh,
she
great
didn't,
roles.
she didn't, yes, she didn't have a name tag and one that said Soph on the floor. She put it on, and we've been calling her that for the past like 15 years.
Is that how you met her?
Soph. That's the side of her that we like, right? It's like
Soph.
Caitlin's the brutally honest one, Soph's the fun one. It's the same girl.
Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Soph.
Exactly, but comes in handy.
I love it. Okay, as we land the plane on this podcast, we got to hit a couple of cliche things. I know we talked about advice. So, is the best advice you'd give someone is just just soak it up and whatever your dad said. I mean, what's the best advice you would give to an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, if you're already in it, I would say be innovative, try to be different, stand out. I know it's kind of obvious, but it's something that a lot of people don't see. We grew up in this street fair world with my dad because he sold sports cards and did all like the Beanie Baby trends. He would always set up at all these events and we would always go. But now you go to them and you see the same person doing the same thing in every single booth. I think it's just find a way to stand out, whether it's your name, whether it's what you offer, whether it's the customer service that you give, just do something above and beyond. Don't think I'm going to make a t-shirt and it's going to become the next Gymshark, right? It's not the reality. It just doesn't happen. So stand out, be different. That's what I always tell people.
So what's different about Tomahawk?
So I think the thing that we offer, let's do it on two sides. One, it's how we treat the customers and how we treat people on social media. I think we show people the side of us that's a little bit different. So that goes with number one. But then the other side is we actually offer probably one of the best warranties on the market, which is that lost, broken, stolen. You could replace it for the lifetime of the product.
If it's stolen?
Stolen. We tell people all the time, go home, tell us you lost it. You pay a small fee and you get another pair.
Do people ever exercise that?
People do. And it's smart because
no way.
Yeah. And the thing is, we try to do where lifetime is considered 2 replacements. We say it should last about 2-3 years. A lot of our customers don't break them. But we tell them like, hey, if they're shattered or they're scratched, send us an email. We'll send you a link. You get the pair replaced.
Do you remember the store Sharper Image back in the day? You could literally return, like I bought this 18 years ago and it just stopped working. Like, oh, let us give you your money back. Yep. They're no longer in business, but maybe there's a happy medium there. Yeah. Actually, I think they're all online. But
the cool thing for us is that we try to make sure like there are final sale codes and things that we do, but a lot of the customers, we try to help them with exchanges or with the warranty, but we limit, right? It's like, you're not just coming in and getting it for free.
Yeah, fine.
You're paying a little bit of money. But when we say a little bit, it's almost like you're covering the cost and you're covering us to ship it to you. It's really it, right? If you're going to pay $10 to replace a $40 pair of glasses, I think you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
But for us, we got that customer to stay. Most of the time they buy another pair. So they'll go and they'll buy another pair, automatically comes with the warranty, and then they got their warranty pair and now they have 2.
Look at you. You're acquiring your customer for nothing.
Exactly.
For $10. Talk about legacy. Obviously you're in the sunglass business, but you're really in the experience business. You're in the customer service business. But what's the legacy you hope to leave, you and your brother?
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want to say that we like disrupted the eyewear business because I think that that's hard to do, right? A lot of people would say that like I'm coming in, I want to change the game. There's only so much you can really do with eyewear, but you have to find a way to like stand out with that. I want people to recognize the fact that when you wore the Tomahawks, it became recognizable because of either a shape or the logo or whatever we have. I think that being somebody who's been around as long as we have, we want that to be present no matter what. It's that, oh, those are Tomahawks or whatever we decide to call it in the future, right? Yeah. We want to make sure that that's the legacy behind.
I love it. Last question. How do we best support you? How do we best support the brand? How do we go and purchase stuff? What's the website? What's the best way to support the movement?
Yeah, so tomahawkshades.com is probably the best place to go. It's got everything you need on there, all the different pairs, where to find us, everything. Social media obviously is always key, and you could shop directly on there. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you could shop right on there now, which is awesome. And those are probably the best ways to get us. We do have mom and pop shops that carry us, other brands that have our stuff in their store, but it's scattered. It depends on seasonality, how much they want to buy. If they come back every year, some people try to find something new, right? But we don't get upset about it. But website's probably the best place to go.
Tomahawkshades.com. What's the Instagram?
Tomahawk Shades.
Tomahawk Shades. Man,
everywhere. Yep.
I love it. Anything that we forgot to talk about. You did a great job sharing the story and opening up your heart. Anything that from a founder to a founder, anything that you would want them to know?
Yeah, I think we nailed everything for the most part. I would say a lot of things that we mentioned here, like working with family and having the right support system around you and all that, it's just super important. This is a stressful job, but you have to love it.
But you don't have any quit in you.
You shouldn't have quit in you, right? Yeah. Like you should keep going, but
If not, Sophie and Caitlin will come after you.
Exactly. Well, yes. Always try to have a Sophie / Caitlin on your side.
Stay away from Texas Roadhouse and Strong Island. She'll tell you what's going on.
Me and him were like 60 pounds heavier, like 5, 6 years.
Really?
There's some really uncomfortable looking photos of the two of us online. Very uncomfortable. They're still there. We left them there. We would blame some of those Texas Roadhouse rolls, but I think
they're so good.
They are so good.
It's worth it.
But now that she has not worked there in a very long time, we don't go there as often. Stay away from the rolls. We won't go back to that weight again.
Yeah, then the version 2 of the podcast, you can be a fitness influencer.
Hey, look, I think that might be out of my wheelhouse. That sounds like a lot of work, yes.
Yeah. All right, Andrew Shapiro, the founder and CEO of Tomahawk Shades, tomahawkshades.com, Instagram, Tomahawk Shades, I'm assuming TikTok and
everywhere,
Twitter, everything, man. Mm-hmm. Great job. You're an authentic person. I feel like that's one of your gifts is you don't, and that's the New York in you.
That's
right?
New York.
You're so authentic and believable, but I think that I used to tell people grit and Jesus were my 2 keys to success, right? And I think that just means if you got faith and you don't know how to quit, you're going to figure it out. And
I'm glad I said grit then.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that resonated with
that's
you.
That's such a strong word.
Yeah.
And you have a team to do it with too. And I think the fact that it's your family makes it that much more special. So great job.
Thank you.